Logbooks of Kelly Cullen. We started rehearsing for A What a Lovely War, which was for our next assessment on Wednesday 25th of February. Basically the first thing we did was learn like Row Row Row, which is basically the first song in the show, which our set is doing because it's been split into 3 sections, and set 2 is doing the middle and set 3 is doing the end. This was directed by Jess Fawcett and Harriet. There was a lot of like tension in that lesson because people were like disagreeing with what other people were doing, and there was a lot of shouting out, and I don't think everyone got the hang of like putting their hand up and letting the directors direct. So I think next lesson we need to work on letting the people who are directing the thing direct, and then be respectful of that, and then put your hand up and input your idea. They began with doing a diagonal line of us all on the floor, and the 2 main people in the song rolling across us all to create like a water effect, because we're meant to be on a boat. We tried that a couple of times. That didn't really work because they just weren't moving. It was difficult to roll, so we had to skip that. But that caused a lot of tension because people were getting annoyed because it wasn't working, and the directors just wanted to see what they could do, just because they'd only thought of it, they'd not actually seen it in process. And then after this we split into groups to rehearse our separate sections. We only did the first 2 scenes, but I'm in the first scene, which is all the different countries, and the MD, which is Jess, having the first bit of the war game. And some people took director roles if they weren't in the scene. At first I struggled with the Russian accent because I couldn't get it low enough and like harsh enough. It just sounded like German or something. So instead of doing that, I decided to just embody like a Russian person instead of just not being clear with what I was saying. So to do this I changed some of my characteristics. So I had my point of energy, which was on the chest, so I kind of led forward to look very strong on my nose, and I rolled my shoulders back, and to walk I took long strides, and then before talking I would have a moment before where I just I look proud and the stereotypical Russian really. My first line is during the Russian anthem, and at first I decided to just stand up where I was and lift both arms up to take them to here, but after a few rehearsals we realised that it wasn't that effective, so we thought it'd be funnier if I got up and walked to the front during like a silence, so people weren't really expecting me to do that, and then have one leg out on one arm, the same arm, lifting up really slowly, then going down my face into this position. It was quite, I think that was really effective, because when we played it back to the rest of the class they found that really funny, which was good, but I had to really work on keeping my focus during that section. In our section everyone in their country had their pairs, like England had 2, France had 2, and Germany. So it was just me, my character, playing the Russian. So I decided, because they reacted together, so to like characterise my character I just decided to not react and stay very solemn and just give them the odd look, to make that more kind of effective, and you could point my character out because I wouldn't really react to the other countries I'm at war with. Then at the end we performed to the rest of the class. We needed, like, our feedback was to have more interaction between the characters, so we had moments where we mimic what like that German says, or we laugh at what the British say. Another piece of feedback was when we gather around the board game for the first time, we all close in and huddle around it, and it cuts the audience off because we create like a semicircle, but it's hard to see what we're doing, so we need to keep that open. We also need to have more reaction with the presenter, which is Jess. So for example, looking at her and really listening to what she's saying, instead, because we almost ignored it and just were looking at each other or keeping to ourselves. We need to react with her. Thank you.